some activities. So we definitely welcome everybody to come back. And the weather, I'm sure, will be hot, but right now the weather is still a little bit uncertain. But in any event, we're nearing the day of the Buddha's birth ceremony, as well as our anniversary. So times are flying by. I still remember just, weeks ago, or just like yesterday, feel like yesterday, that we are still preparing we're still preparing for the New Year's. So, we can tell that it's definitely the time is definitely flying by very quickly. Okay, so I want to make sure that everybody can hear me, because there's still people in the chat group that's saying that they can't. So if other people can hear, please. Okay, so the sounds are okay in other places. So please have to double check to make sure that the audio is all plugged in. All right. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so before we begin, once again, I like to call to action. This is what I'm going to do every time. This is something that I think we should all realize and understand and know. It's not exactly asking you to donate yet. That's up to you. But I think before we do anything, I think we should all know about this. This is the part of acknowledgement, accepting the knowledge, making sure that we at least know what is going on. So online in the YouTube, there's a channel. There's a channel that you can freely subscribe, which is the Tzu Chi Culture and Communication Foundation. That's pretty much the foundation that we built our Dai TV upon. And this is the foundation that we have already a channel for on the YouTube. And on it, it actually put all the most recent uploads for this for the videos. And the best part about this is that if you take a look at if you take a look at it, we actually have already many separate categories that we allow for everybody to take a look at. And it includes all the most recent, and it even categorized into master's teaching specifically, as well as what's happening right now after Cyclone Idai and that made landfall in Mozambique and also Zimbabwe and all the other places. So I'm showing you these because I think it's important to know. Because if you don't know, you can't act. And if you can't act, then you cannot spread this love. So please use me. This is the link. Please scan this QR code, and it will bring you directly to the YouTube channel that we talked about. And you can then, add subscribe, so that all the new videos that you see, that you need to see, will be on it. So make sure everybody have an opportunity to scan me, to make sure that you know what is going on, and you know that you're staying most updated with all the happenings in Africa. Okay, so scan me, or if you can't, there is the YouTube channel information at the bottom that you can type in. But nowadays, who does the typing, right? Everything is done by scanning there and there. Okay, so that's this part. I'm gonna leave it up for another 5 seconds, and then we're gonna move on. So please make the best use of me, and believe it or not, we're gonna see this again later today. Okay, so moving on to the next page. This is the actual poster that we have for supporting the Cyclone Idai relief, and we even tell you what our action is going to be. This is one of the more pretty posters that we have. However, on the right hand side, there is another QR code that I welcome everybody to scan, and this is the QR code that essentially takes you directly to the donation page. Now, if you go in, you can select the language to English, and you can make a daily donation if you want. Basically, it's a wonderful. Once you have all the online payments set up, it's really, really quick. But you can also use credit card. And the reason I'm doing this is so that we are not far away from the center of action. not only do we need to take action, but we need to know what's going on. Because in order for us to tell other people what's going on and ask them to show compassion and show love, we must know what we are doing. So the previous QR code tells you what we're doing, and this one takes you to action. Okay, which is very important to what we're going to talk about today. But let's review first from last week. Last week we talked about the merit of the tongue, and it's very different because the first four organs of the sensory organs that we come in contact, basically the eyes, the ears, and nose, and now the tongue, are all talking about basically receiving and to sense. And that's their basic function. Now, the more important thing about the tongue is that they not only can receive and sense, but they also can act on this stimulus. So we talked about, Master talks about, if it's bitter, it's something that you taste it with your tongue, but you can choose to like bitterness or not. And so as a cultivator, all the food that you eat, you're inherently thinking that because we're grateful for the food, and therefore the food is good tasting, whether you truly like the taste or not. And if you tell yourself you like it, you're gonna like it. So the idea is that we're gonna sense and receive the stimulus, we'll differentiate them, and we'll act on them. But the level of cultivation should be somewhere between the second and the third level for the novice. You know, once we know that this is bad tasting, but we sort of remember that Master told us that as cultivators, we're supposed to like and appreciate all food. Then you change your thinking. Then you say, well, actually, I don't like the taste, but I actually appreciate it. Okay, so that's the novice way of thinking. You know, the sense it and then already change it afterwards. But the next step up would be after you sense it, even if it's bitter tasting, because you're so grateful, the gratitude in you is so profound that you are going to feel that it's good regardless, that it's going to, you actually like and enjoy the taste. Okay, so that's what we talked about. But how do we think like that? So last week we talked about how do we think like that? And the idea is gratitude. It's this attitude of gratefulness that we should always have. And that's going to change the taste for us. And we talked about the stories from Qinghai and Mozambique, and these are the stories of gratitude, how people after so many years still remember, and how Mozambique and also how in Zimbabwe and Malawi, they're all so grateful. So it's very important to especially important to anyone who wishes to share Dharma, because without this attitude of gratitude, then the people that are hearing you, even if you make the most wonderful sounds, the people that hear you, they will hear your emotion as well. They will know if you care or if you don't care, if you are grateful or if you're not grateful. So I think it's something that it's very important that both the listeners, right now if I'm listening, or right now if I'm speaking, both the listeners, when we listen, and both when we speak, we are filled with gratitude. If you want to be able to speak to the minds directly and to the hearts of the people, then you need to do so with the idea, with the sense of gratitude. And if you truly want to hear the speaker's mind, then you need to listen with gratitude as well. But how do we always be filled with gratitude? To always know that everyone is our family. You care for them. You do not think that they are unnecessary part of your life. You think of everyone as someone important in your life, and that is why you will be grateful. So now we move on to this week's review. And as you know, that there's no Master's morning lecture for this whole week. And we've been doing the sutra chanting for Lotus Sutra, which is a very, very wonderful way of reviewing and refreshing, or resting for those of you that chose to take a little bit day off, which is not a bad thing. It's always important to have the body rested. But today, we're going to be talking about something different. We're going to be talking about something called blessings. And it's something that I've been doing, I think, for about a month now. This is the topic that I've been sharing a little bit about. And I wanted to share with all of you today. And it's very special. And it's something that ties into what we're seeing now and what we're hearing recently. So I'm sure we all know, I'm sure we all know this is one of the disciple with the supernatural powers that is most pronounced. And his name, and I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but his name is Maudgalyāyana. Okay, Maudgalyāyana. No, Maudgalyāyana. Okay, wonderful. Okay, Maudgalyāyana. Okay, wonderful. So what about him? So the story that we probably know the most about this disciple of Buddha was that about his mother. So his mother was one day Maudgalyāyana was seeking his parents, and he found his father in the heavens, but he couldn't find his mother. So through the help of the Buddha, through the help and guiding him, he was able to use his supernatural power to find his mother, okay, in the realm of hell and reborn as a hungry ghost. And this is a picture, very, very symbolic of what a hungry ghost looks like. You can probably see that the some of the signs of the hungry ghost. So basically, first sign is the belly. Okay, so they're always hungry, but their belly is huge. Yet at the same time, their throat, their neck is as thin as needle. Okay, you cannot even fit 1 grain of rice. And when they open their mouth, the flame comes out. So Maudgalyāyana found his mother reborn as a hungry ghost. And by being a very filial son, he wanted to do something for his mother. So what he did was that with his supernatural power, okay, he made a bowl of rice. The bowl of rice was just suddenly appear out of thin air because of supernatural power. So he tried to offer the mother this bowl of rice. However, as soon as the mother was so happy and tried to eat the food, open the mouth, and we can see from the picture, the flame comes out. And no, the rice doesn't become grilled rice. No, it becomes burned ash. Okay, no, this is not barbecue. No, it's burned, becomes ash. Okay, so you cannot eat it. So the food will be burned every time, okay, by the flames coming out of the mouth. So this is the story that obviously talks about something. And I think we probably understand that at the end, the story calls for everybody to be united and to pray and to have this prayer for this well wish for all the beings that were reborn in hell or in hungry ghost, so that they could get the blessings from others. Now, is this for real? Now, the question that I always ask is this a real story? And many people would nod their head and many people would shake their head. And I don't know what you're nodding or you're shaking, but I'm sure you're one of the two. And the idea is a lot of people, they think it's real because the story tells you a moral, it teaches you a moral that we know it's real. If you do good things, then you're reborn in heaven and you enjoy it. If you don't do good things, then you're reborn in hungry ghosts or hell or the animal realm, and your life will be suffering. Now, that's real, okay? But is this story real? Was there someone whose name is Maudgalyāyana, and he found his mother in hell, reborn as hungry ghost, and all this happened? Did this really happen? And the answer is, did it? And the answer is, you bet it did. Yes, it's real. It is very, very real. And we can see them actually in our lives too. These stories are happening even as we speak. First of all, the picture that we saw is hungry ghost. The hungry ghost. Do we see these people like this? Yeah, in Africa, right? In Africa, we've seen people that are, because of their natural defect or because of other issues being, maybe parasite or whatnot, they have this huge belly. Their tummy is usually huge, but they're very thin in their limbs. And not only that, what about the neck or throat being like a needle that is so thin that no food or even a grain of rice cannot pass through? Does that happen? And I think it did. You know, if we find in the hospitals, there are these nasogastric intubation where people can no longer eat through their normal throat. They would have to eat through the intubation. And isn't that just like the picture that we saw? Not a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just sharing with you that these are real. They're happening in our lives. And we just don't realize that they are the same thing, but they are. So the Buddha shared these stories because he knew that eventually people will be eating through tubes. But he can't tell the people in India that, you know, along the Ganges River, because these people live there probably for their entire lives. They don't know what intubation, they don't know that in the future this was going to happen. So he could only explain things in terms, in ways that the people in India can understand. If you tell them about nasogastric intubation now, that they would understand. But back then, 2,500 years ago, they would not know what it is. So you would have to use a story called the hungry ghost. And you have to explain how they look like. Okay, so these are real things that's happening. Okay, but what about when the food was offered and it was burned to ashes? Does that happen? Yes, it did. This was a story that was taken about 2 months ago in February. And as you probably all know, in Venezuela, there was a huge hyperinflation. There was a military coup and there was a military uprising. There was a civil uprising there. And so there was a lot of problem happening there. And so now, even though Venezuela is a petroleum exporting country, however, because of their policies and because of the sanctions, that their food and their daily products, daily life products are now so scarce that even if they have petroleum, they would not have enough, for example, tissue paper, and they would not have enough bread. So their situation is very dire. For the people that are poor, they are waiting. They're waiting for the rescue. They're waiting for the aid. However, the government refuses the aid from other countries. So what happens is that he blockaded all the borders. So even though if the aid trucks are on the other side of the border, they would not be able to come in, except, you know, one day that there was these 2 trucks that got through. And as soon as it got through, it was caught by the border patrol. And then they were set afire. They were set ablaze. So this was just exactly like the story where the rice was right in front of Maudgalyāyana's mother. She wanted to eat it. It was so close that she could taste it. Except the moment she opened the mouth, the fire comes out and set the rice ablaze. Same thing happened. The aid truck was already into Venezuela, but it was caught. And rather than giving it and seizing all this material for the use of the people and the poor, they would rather set it ablaze. They would rather set it afire so that no one gets to use it. Okay. So the reason why I mention all this is that it's very real. It's not just some story that is supernatural out of the storybooks. Yes, it's out of the storybooks because it's got a lot of added flavors, but it's real. It's happening today. It's happening right now. It's happening to people around us, to real people, not made up, not movie, not science fiction. It's real. And knowing that it's very real, what do we learn from this? What do we learn from this? The question that I want to ask is, why was Maudgalyāyana's mother unable to eat the rice that's right in front of her? Why was the poor in Venezuela unable to receive the aid that's right in front of them? The idea is that sometimes we found, you know, that the country was blockaded and we couldn't send the help in. That I can understand. But why is it that the rice is right there already? The aid is right there already, that they still cannot get it? Why? Why is it? And the answer is blessing. That's very simple. One word, blessings. What does that mean? Those without blessings will not be able to receive help, even if the help is right in front of them. And this is very cruel, and this is very true. Those without any blessings, you know, even if the bowl of rice is right in front of you, you will not be able to receive it. You will not be able to benefit it. And that is very cruel, and that is very true. And at the same time, on the other hand, those with blessings will be able to receive help, even if the help is thousands of miles away. Even if the help is so far away, and there are so many difficulties in between, that it will be very, very difficult to get there. Guess what? If you have the blessing, you're going to get it. And I'm going to tell you how that's possible. You know, nothing can stop this. Once you have the blessings, nothing can stop. If you don't have the blessing, not even the supernatural powers will override this. And let me share with you, Mozambique. 2 weeks ago, our team from Taiwan got there. That was after nearly 20 hours of flight. Imagine how far away that is. We got there, not only just people, but the goods got there. These are the things that they don't have, but we sent it there along with the people. These people, the volunteers, are so happy helping to move all these relief goods. We got there and we're sharing with them that evening, that very night. The volunteers get together. They're probably about, hundreds and 200 or 500 of the volunteers. What are they doing there? They're there to make sure that they can help ready the distribution. So all these things they were about to drive. For several days just to send all these things to the disaster area that were hit the hardest by Cyclone Idai. Okay, you can see all of the volunteers, 500 of them in the morning. There are even hundreds more stay overnight just to help package all these food and all these items. By the time we got there, we start to distribute, right? And we saw the story where some of Maudgalyāyana's mother, the rice was in front of them and it was burned, right? Well, guess what? When we were doing this distribution, okay, one of the older lady, the bag of beans fell and it broke. There was some hole in the bag, and so the beans leaked out. Guess what? Everyone helped to make sure, it was getting all the last beans into the bag again. And not just that, because every bean was so precious. They not only take the beans, but they take the sand and they take the grass along with it because they don't want to miss anything. See, a bowl of rice that you cannot eat. And now the beans, they would spill onto the ground, but they would take everything, not letting any single bean get slipped out. No, they would take everything. Look at how different it is. Not only that, but those that were old, those that cannot carry all the things on their own, there were about 50 kilos of all the things combined. There were flour involved, there were these beans, there was this rice. All of them added together is more than 50 kilos. How would any old lady, single, or coming here on their own, how would they be able to do this? Guess what? No, we already sent it thousands of miles away to here. We're not going to stop at the last 10 kilometers. No, we're going to go with you. So our younger volunteers, go with them, help them carry. Look, no matter how difficult it is, we find a way to give the aid to the people. And that's the difference. The aid could be right in front of them, but they cannot get it. Or the aid is so far away and you are helpless to bring them home. But it's okay. People come from thousands of miles away, give you all these things, and help you bring them home. Okay, and that was in Mozambique. This is in Zimbabwe. This is even more spectacular, incredible, because everyone, okay, and this is actually in Harare, where there is no disaster. The Cyclone Idai didn't come here. So our volunteers go to these communities where we regularly visit. We ask them for help. Please help the other villages that were hit hard by Cyclone Idai. And guess what? They give all their things. These are the people that have nothing. But at the end of the day, they knew they need to do something. So not just the distance that would be the issue, but where would the things come from? They would come from the most unlikely of the heroes. They would come out and they would give the things that they usually don't have. But all of a sudden, now we're able to accumulate all these things. Even this old lady and this young girl, they have nothing and they're able to donate the very, very least bit of their cash, which comes in the forms of pennies. That's all they have. So, and not just that, right? All the things get stuffed into the van that would be driving for days, just to, for many hours. For a trip that was only supposed to take about 6 hours, it actually takes about 12 and 15 hours to get there because of road conditions. But we stuffed everything into the van. And in order to make the trip, what do you need? You need gasoline. But guess what? There is no gasoline. For a trip that is 1,200 kilometers, you need to make sure that you have enough gasoline on the way, because when you get there, there is no guarantee that you are going to get gasoline. In Zimbabwe, ever since Cyclone Idai, there is no power. In Zimbabwe, the disaster area, there is no power. Also in Mozambique. So if you drive there, you're going to make sure that you have enough fuel to get back. So they went to buy fuel. But guess what? You have to wait in line to buy fuel. So the trip itself, round trip, is 1,200 kilometers. But in order to make it happen, you have to get the goods first. Everybody's donation. That's already very unlikely. Then you have to wait in line to purchase the fuel. And Mr. Chu, our brother in Zimbabwe, he said, going there to wait for the fuel in line waiting. It could be 3-4 hours. It could be 6 hours. And by the time that it was his turn, the fuel was sold out. So he had to come back again and wait the next day. That's how difficult it is. But guess what? We overcame all these difficulties and even the road conditions. This is the road condition that we see, okay? So in order for them to get all this, everyone, the fuel, the poor people making donation, the people driving, and they have to drive through all the road conditions just to get there. Guess what? All of this happened. Why? Because these people that were hit by Cyclone Idai, they were blessed. They have the blessing. So we do the distribution. Look at this. This was in China. This was in Qinghai. So far high up in the mountain, 5,000 meters high in the mountains. We were there and we helped them. Some of them 23 years ago. They've been waiting for 23 years. We got there and we helped them. Why? Because these people are blessed. And then you would tell me, Joe, how can these people be blessed when they are hit so hard by the cyclone, when they are suffering so badly? How can you tell me that these people are blessed? And I'm going to tell you that that's not what blessings mean. Blessings is not about the absence or the cancellation of negative karma, but rather it's about the presence of good karma. So when it's necessary, the help will arrive and you will be able to get it. So the fact that they're getting hit by Cyclone Idai or hit by the snowstorm or anything in between, this is not about blessings. This is about that we did something wrong in the past and we are just getting that karma back to us. But if you do something good in the past, if you have sowed the seeds of blessing, then you're going to have this good karma that when something bad happens, you will be able, the help will be there, the virtuous friends will be around you to give you a hand. You will be able to get it because there is blessing. So how can we get this blessing? Very simple. We're coming back to this QR code. So I am helping everyone. Don't you think that by doing this, you are only helping the people in Cyclone Idai? No, you are helping yourself too. And this is the idea of charity. It's not just to help the people in need, but ultimately helping you, because eventually, one of these days, our karma is going to catch up to us, and we're going to be the ones that need help. But if you don't have the blessings, because we didn't sow the blessings when we can, if you don't have the blessings, unfortunately, that bowl of rice will be right in front of you and it will be burned. So we need to do this. The first step to getting more blessings is to know more. So this is the YouTube channel that I share with you. Know more so you can do more. And this is the second page that I give you, is the actual donation page, okay? So this is all what's there about blessing. It's not about if you have blessing, the bad things will come to you. No, they will still come because that's what you've done in the past and you're going to get the retribution one way or the other. It's going to come. But because you do something good, you make good friends, you make good affinity. Therefore, people will come to your aid when you need them. And that's how we do. So charity is not just about doing help to the others, but to realize that you're helping yourself too. So by spreading this idea and spreading this message, you are helping not just current disaster in Ida, but also the future disaster, because we're all gonna be one of these days. We're all gonna need some help one way or the other. So that's why I'm gonna cut into one of the questions that were asked. I'm almost over. I'm almost done. So the question here is, hearing stories of Qinghai, the kind-hearted residents who do not wish to sell their animal stocks, so despite in poverty, as they worry it will be killed. They also cherish greatly the goods given by Tzu Chi 23 years ago, which show the gratefulness at heart they have. Very good role models for us. But why are these kind people still suffering from the disaster? I hope that answers your question. And any way they could do so, they can overcome the collective force of evil retribution. I hope that answers your question too. So, blessings. We need blessings. Not just for now and not just for a good life, but rather when the bad karma catch up to us, the blessings will be there to help us. People will be around us to help us. Otherwise, if we don't have blessings, either people won't show up or the people will show up and you will refuse and you will not be able to get their help. And that's the worst time. So that's my sharing for today. And I hope everybody understand now the difference, the karma and the blessings, and why we do these things is to help not just the people out in other worlds, but also ourselves in the future. Okay, so that's my sharing for today. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. And, hello to everyone from around the world. My name is Dr. Hale, and I'm stationed here in Singapore, and orthodontist here. The first time I came to know about it was back in August 2018, when I actually went to a conference. And for a long time, I had actually been searching to find some kind of an organization, something that I could do some dental charity and give to people who need. And so I came across Tzu Chi, and I quite liked their ideas. So the mission trip that I went on to with them was in Cambodia back in end of February, March this year. And I have got to say, it was such an eye-opener. It is such a fantastic organization. The whole operation was just seamless. It was just so efficient. Every fine detail was actually thought of. And we were a massive group. I mean, the sheer size of the group that I saw once I got to Cambodia. So it wasn't just us from Singapore, but it was also from Taiwan and US and Malaysia. And also the students in Cambodia, the dental students, also came on board to help. So we took all these materials and all the dental equipment that we needed. There were also doctors and eye surgeons, acupuncturists, a massive group of us, just working, we didn't all know each other, but we just worked so efficiently together. I mean, the energy was just so positive. Every single day was packed. The schedule was packed, so you get in there early in the morning, you see lots and lots of patients until the evening. But I'd go home and I was never tired. It was such, so much going on, so many patients to see, about 6,000 patients I heard that we saw amongst all of us, medics, dentists, everybody. But it was tireless. I was never tired. The sheer energy and the kindness that I saw from everyone around me, and it was just bouncing off all of us, and we worked so efficiently together. And also there was other activities, for example, rice giving in a local school, which I went to, and that was fascinating. That was the sheer number of people who came, and the amount that was given and that was received. It was just phenomenal. It was really, really good. So, I mean, I came away, now what did I take away from that trip? I came away from that trip actually feeling enlightened, feeling so light, feeling so good. So it's following on from the previous talk, that when you share, when you give, it's like, I didn't do this for money, I didn't do this for anything, but it was as though the world had given to me. The feeling was really, really good. So it's all about positive energy. So when you give, you sort of like, it's when you share, caring is sharing. Sharing is caring. So it was just like an amazing feeling when I got back. And to be honest, I was talking about it endlessly to people who came up to me and asked me about the mission trip. And I'm actually looking for, I think it's a fantastic organization, Tzu Chi, and they do it really, really well. And I'm keeping my eye out on the next trip. I know they do lots of frequent trips. I believe there's another one in Sri Lanka in July. So I would like to embark on more trips. I would like this to be many, it's not just the first and last one. I would like it to be the beginning of many more trips with this organization. And I was really impressed. And actually, I'd like to say, again, moving on from the last talk, that I am grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunity that I have been given and to be taken in as part of your team and welcomed into your organization to be able to give. I'm thankful, I'm appreciative, I'm really, really grateful. Thank you.
So, good morning, brothers and sisters from the group. My name is Jane, and I would like to share my experience in Cambodia medical mission that happens in 1st to 3rd of March, just last month. I am actually a TCM physician, and this is my second Cambodia mission. It started last year. This is our Cambodia mission on the flight to Cambodia. This is the TCM team that I belong to. We have 7 TCM physicians and 1 TCM pharmacist, which is this brother. Yeah. On the plane itself, you might look at me like I'm very happy, but actually deep underneath me, I was very worried because before we came for the trip, we have this reportings of registration of patients. Apparently, all different functions like dentist, eye, surgical, GP, they all have reported numbers. But out of so many functions, TCM does not have any numbers reported. So I was very worried, and I asked the organizer, did anybody register for TCM? They said that, oh, TCM is not common there. So it just referred to GP numbers will do. So that worries me. And based on last year's experience, it worries me further. If you take a look at this simple statistics, it worries me further because last year, which was our first full-fledged medical mission in Cambodia, we have targeted 600 patients. Eventually, out of the 13 TCM physicians, we have seen 740 patients. But although the number is bigger than the target, but we actually have a big effort in getting the patients going on the ground to really pull patients in. So when this year, instead of 13 TCM physicians, we actually have 17 TCM doctors, but the target is still 600. So I do a simple calculations. That means that if I base on the same target of patients that is 600 divided by number of 17 doctors, averagely every hour are seeing only 1.76 patients. That means that we can literally talk chat with one patient for more than half an hour. Then we see another patient and chat for another half an hour. That is very, very, it's not effective, but also I feel sorry for the TCM doctors who fly all the way, paying on their own like any other medical volunteers, and yet they only benefit so little patients. So, but eventually things come out to be quite blessed. So this is the ultimate figures that we have seen. We have doubled the numbers. We have seen 1,202 patients. And how does that happen? Sorry, I think there's, I think the sharing is a bit, okay. I think that we must have faith. The faith as in Master has the faith in Dharma's teaching, Buddha teaching, as well as Master. Our Master has always teach us before we attain Buddhahood, we must always have build good affinity with others. So in Chinese we call it 未成佛前，先结好人缘. And this is very, very true. Because when I was very worried about the number of patients that we have, because none of them was registered before our trip, before we go on board the plane, I shared my worries with many volunteers. So I keep nagging everybody, like Dr. Chai is the Dr. Chai who has shared last Saturday. He was the GP leader. So I woo him to please refer patients to me. I saw Dr. Tang, who is a dental leader. I woo him, please help me. So anybody, in short, anybody that I come across, as long as they hold certain role in the mission, I will back there and, you know, harassing them and make sure that they help me to refer patients to TCM. So that was the good cause, the good affinity that I have built, as what Brother Joe has said, blessing comes when one is in need of help. So when I was being the TCM leader, my responsibility is to ensure that all the TCM physicians have enough patients to treat, and they really feel benefited from able to help others. So because of the good affinity, the blessing came when I was in it. We managed to see so many patients. So building good affinity is truly, as what Master has said, is very, very true. And also another teaching that I have taken away is Master always said Bodhisattva will appear to help when one does good deed. So in Chinese we call it 做好事必有龙天护法来帮忙. So when we are all coming with a pure heart to benefit the Cambodia patients. So when in need, there will be a lot of, when our thoughts is pure for the benefit of others, there will be a lot of help comes along. So this is actually the volunteers. We can see on the top left two corners, the top left corner, these are the two very veteran coordinators for all the mission trip that organized by Singapore. They were there and they share my worries. So during the 3 days, they keep coming to me and say that, sister, I try very hard also. I help you at the registration counter. Whenever there's any people with pains, I will straight away register them for TCM. So they really try very hard. And this on the bottom right corner is Dr. Edwin. He's a very senior doctor in charge of the Singapore medical arm. Dr. Edwin also tried to help along to ask every volunteer, every leaders to help to refer patients to TCM. So these are all the Bodhisattva that helps us. And Dr. Chai, we had shared last week, he also referred patients to me and also refer to TCM and also ask his GP section, which you see from this photo, to come and help us refer patients to us. And yeah, Dr. Ko, which is a dental, you know, even dentists also refer patients to TCM. One might think that when the patient comes to see the dentist for tooth pain, what does that to do with the TCM treatment? But somehow, even dentists also came to help. So during lunchtime, Dr. Ko actually asked me, "Sister, do you have enough patients? Do you still want us to refer some more?" So these are those heartfelt moments that I feel truly believe that when you do good deeds, helps will render at the needed time. So this is all our Singapore team leaders during the opening speech, which, yeah, you can see Dr. Hualien also inside there. So something that we introduced during this Cambodia mission is TCM Health Education, or we call it 卫教, but 中医的卫教. Because in the past, I think recent years, Master has emphasized a lot on 卫教, on the health education. It's more like a prevention. It's more like if we can give them the right knowledge, they can take care of themselves better, and we can prevent a lot of illnesses from getting worse. So that's the reasons why Master emphasized a lot on 卫教. So the first time I hosted it, to be honest, I host this 卫教for a personal agenda, because I am not confident that we can have, I am very worried that we do not have enough patients. So I believe that doing health education by going to like eye functions hosting area, or going to dental hosting area, and as well as GP hosting area, I see the crowd sitting down there waiting. So I can do teaching of TCM treatment, but at the same time, I introduce them so that they can arise their interest and they come to TCM site. But end up, thanks to all the leaders, they have referred enough patients for us. And this is the photo that we have done. Later on, after going through many different functions, finally we came to a TCM hosting area, and I'm doing a simple stretching, like a bit like chiropractics as kind of exercise to teach the patients while waiting at the TCM site. So I was doing demonstration, and shortly I actually invite the patient at the TCM site to practice, and yeah, so he's even doing a demonstration. So this sister, you see the one in gray long shirts, she was the volunteer, and initially she was very shy when I pull her along, because over there it's like many foreign countries, they speak only native language, which is non-English. So I need this sister to come along with me to all different booth hosting area to woo them. So initially this sister was very shy, but after one station, she became very moved. And she was so enthusiastic that she asked me, "Sister, what is the next station that we are supposed to go for conducting this health education?" So because of her enthusiasm, I was moved also, I was affected. So that's how we eventually go from station to station, and eventually we got so many patients. So last thing to share is daily briefing. This is something that we did this time around, because we have 17 TCM physicians coming from 3 countries. Singapore have 7, Taiwan has 5, and Malaysia has 5. So I think that we need to have some kind of bonding so that we can work and gel together, and that will make us working more like a team. So therefore I started this daily briefing before the daily treatment and at the end of the day treatment. So we have this 2 days briefing, and in order to create we call it kampong spirit or village spirit, that people feel very close. So this is the daily in agile process, we call it stand-up meetings. I learned from my company, so I put it in good use during this mission. So we are standing surrounded with one another, and I will share what are the things that we learned from previous day, or things to take attention, like certain leaders are running out, please try to use other longer size leader, things like that. And after that, we will have everybody to have a chance to speak anything that they learn or they want to share as well. So it's a mutual kind of sharing during the day, at the beginning of the day and end of the day. And at the end, truly, we feel very, very close among us, and we feel so close that during the day itself, when they have more patients waiting outside, I need the physician's help to work harder to see a bit faster. I just go inside and say that, brothers, sisters, we have about 50 patients outside before lunchtime. Can you all try your best to treat the patients faster, but still with care? And whenever I notice, whenever I introduce when I say out loud the numbers, I was surprised. All the TCM doctors were cracked and said, "Yay, we have such a good numbers for us to benefit." Yay, so everybody will cheer. So the kind of kampong spirit that make our TCM sections, we feel very homely. And even other functions like the surgical, Sister Cheng came over and said that, "Hey, I like the spirit here. It looks very much like home, and everybody is so like family members." So the top right hand corner pictures is a short photo that is a representative of 3 countries. Myself on the bottom right is actually from Singapore. Sister at the top is actually from Taiwan. And sister on the left is actually from Malaysia. So last but not least, I would like to end my sharing with this aphorism is one does not have a claim on one's life, but only the right to use it. 就是人生没有所有权，只有生命的使用权。So let's put our life to good use, which I believe all of the Tzu Chi volunteers has been practicing that for master teaching, and let's continue to do that. And thank you, and may all be well and happy. Thank you. We can hear you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Chen. Before I start my sharing, I just want to add on to what Brother Joe said about hungry ghosts. I did experience it myself. The one that is having this feeling, hungry ghost feeling, is my close one. He was quite ill, and he was very hungry, but he just couldn't eat. The food is just in front of him, but he just couldn't eat. And that actually reminds me of hungry ghosts. And he has passed on, and I wish he's in a good realm. And also to respond to Sister Jane about her worry about TCM in Cambodia, it is very welcome now. So I'd like to share my experience in Cambodia. Cambodia again. This is my second time to Cambodia. My first time, I think, is last year, together with Sister Jane. She's a good leader, by the way. And then the recent one that I went, which is just last weekend, it is a mini mission, and even though it is a mini mission, but I can actually learn a lot of things. Like we have to prepare a list of medicine to bring, and also the different range of needles to use, and we have to decide the quantity so that we make sure that there's enough. So in day one of the trip, we went to rubbish dump. It's a place that full of rubbish, and you can imagine the smell. So in fact, the rubbish is just a few meters away from the place where we have the medical mission. I'm actually happy to see young doctors who are willing to go, because you can imagine that a place that is full of rubbish. The young doctors, for example, Dr. Lim, who is also a TCM doctor, I think this is not the first time she went. The other one is Dr. Yo, a dentist. He's quite young too. So and during the mission, we have translators. Most of the translators are, I believe, is medical students, and also young doctors from Cambodia. They are young, they are willing to learn, and they will ask questions, as in like, why do you treat different patient with different symptoms, but using the same acupuncture point? So, and we are happy to explain to them because they are willing to learn and take notes from there. And on the second day, we have the mission in the center itself. There are many people who turn up, and at the end of the mission, when we finish packing, there's a mother who has broken arm, came to us and asked if we can go to her house to see her son. Her son is severely he had a severe gout where he cannot move at all. So we went to his house, and we saw a family of the mother herself with a broken arm. The son is just lying on the bed, on the floor, and a 5-year-old girl. And this 5-year-old girl, basically, even though you can imagine how small she is, but she does all the household chores, like washing clothes, preparing, cooking rice, preparing the meal. I was very impressed. And the person who had this pain, when I saw, he had this big on his knee. Basically, he has a severe gout, and then he just couldn't walk because it's so painful for him to walk. So I did what I could, but the only thing that so at the end of the day, I can only relieve like half the pain, but he still couldn't walk. So from there, I realized there are things that is beyond me. So from my point of view, I just do what my best to help them. And I always have to remind myself, we don't just cure their pain, but also to heal their heart. By the way, tomorrow is Cambodia's New Year. And for the rewards, for me, is to see the smiling face after the treatment. That's all of my sharing, and I wish everybody good health. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, thanks for our volunteers from Singapore and Malaysia, Sister Helen and Sister Jane, and Brother Cheng for your sharing. And I heard that you all, not just only one time to Cambodia, got to the Cambodia for the medical services to the suffering. I think just like Master say, for those, if we are not having to form good affinity with those suffering people, I think you won't have such a blessing to go there for twice, second time to visit. I think they must have a very deep affinity between you and them. And this is what we have already, planted the first seed of love in the heart for the first trip that you went there. So that's why you will have a second time, and maybe, the carrying on for the couple of times in the future. So it's the same as like one master say that I think that it is, I remember for a couple of years, master did mention 风云感会. Now is the time for those who are blessing, the people who are blessed with such blessing people, it's the time for them to go for the to respond to those who need, when as well as we can hear and we can reach them. So this is because we all live at the same planet. So Master say, remember, we must don't forget that our first initiative, and then we have make a vow to go to help those who need without asking by other people. So this is 无缘大慈同体大悲. So you all are 不请之事 because you are giving a help without being asking, and it's come true from your heart to take the initiative to help those who need. So this is very important. So I think this is time is already 8 o'clock. So I think I better stop now. And thanks for my response to your sharing for today. Thank you.